One of the biggest mistakes, I still hear it today from young people, oh, I don't have to worry because I'm still
young.
Yeah, and that is death to most people because eventually you get old and then you're not young again. So it's a way of saying, when I talk about assets and liabilities, one of the most important things you have in your life is time. It's one of your greatest assets, or it's your liability. And being, I just turned 70, and I have friends who have nothing. I mean, they have zero. Now they've made a lot of money, but they have nothing here. They have nice houses, nice cars, 16 wives, 19 kids. I don't know what they have, but you know what I mean? And being young is great, except it can be a liability to you. Because when you're young, you're just having a lot of fun and life's exciting, it's new. So, at the time, but the thing is, this is the lesson today, is so many people spend their time focusing here. They want to make a lot of money. And I can hear it in their words. They say, oh, I want a career. This is career. Okay, or I'm going to start my own business. And this is the chart here, which we've seen. This is the cash flow quadrant, book number 2. E is employee. S is small business, self-employed, or a specialist like a doctor, a lawyer, web designer. B is big business, 500 employees or more. And I is professional investor. So when I was your age, I knew I wanted to get here. This takes time. This is the hardest, This is where the big mega bucks are. And Kim and I are here. And the money is massive. But it takes time to get there. The big mistake I see young people make is they focus here. And the words are, I want to do what I love. That's the track. You see, in real life, sometimes you have to do what you hate. Like people think I like to write books. I hate writing books. But it fills my purpose in life. It's not my passion, my purpose in life. Because my purpose was to get here. A lot of these guys get trapped here doing what they love. And as we've talked about on earlier episodes of this thing, these guys pay the highest taxes. 40% here, 60% in taxes here, 20% here, and then 0% here. So when I was before my 20s, I knew I wanted to go there, and it wasn't doing what I loved. I had to learn what I didn't want to learn. I had sometimes to do what I hated. I had to learn about taxes. I had to learn about debt. I had to take classes. I had to learn about insurance. So I was doing a lot of things I hated doing so I could come over here. These guys never do this because they live their passion. I want my passion. The difference in passion is greedy, purpose is for other people. So my purpose was to come over here so I could serve more people. Okay. So I have employees here and all this. I don't buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds because as a professional investor, I can create my own assets.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Robert Kiyosaki, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, understand money.
There's 3 kinds of money today that you guys got to be aware of. One is God's money, and God's money is gold and silver. So this is silver, and this is gold. The reason I brought it is most people don't know what it looks like. And then there's government money, which is fiat currency, which is the dollar, the yen, the peso, the euro, the yuan. Fake. And everybody's working hard for it. It's like eating fake food or drinking fake water. That's why people are getting sick financially, because they're working for fake money. Okay. And then there's fake assets, which was another part of the fake millennial, the fake generation series. But the reason I brought this here is most people haven't seen it. This here is real silver, plata. Okay, that's what it looks like. And so in 1972, and this here is gold. This is God's money. This is what God's money looks like.
Yeah.
The reason I call it God's money is you can't fake it. You know, you can fake it with a fake ETF, like a gold ETF or a silver, which I don't touch because it smells as bad as the guys that printed that crap. You know what I mean? Jesus. But this is real money. So you look at this here. When I first started buying that, that was $1.40.
Yeah.
Today, that's $16. And this here is oro, gold. And the reason we brought it in is most people haven't seen or touched. This is real. This is God's money.
Yeah.
Why did I say it's God's money? Because it was here when the earth was created.
Yeah.
And it'll be here when we're all dead and gone. When you're saving those fake dollars, this will still be here.
Yeah.
Or those fake ETFs or those fake stocks.
Rule number 3, educate yourself financially.
A lot of your generation are saying tax the rich. As they say, never happened, Joe. Because the tax laws need the rich to do what the government wants done. They're incentives. I provide housing, jobs, and food and energy. So that's what they should be teaching, but our schools will never teach that because they're fake teachers. Anything else? So that's kind of a review of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah,
Any
I
other
thank
questions?
God you gave that. I mean, even when you were talking about jobs, it's like, well, yeah, none of us would be here if it wasn't for you creating this company.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of curious as to why the government wouldn't want us to be creating more houses, more companies. Why aren't they making us learn this in school?
Well, because it's fake education. It's fake teachers. It's been going on for hundreds of years. And like I said, when the rich took over, there was Rockefellers, Carnegie, Mellon, and they said, we don't need more entrepreneurs. We need more employees. So the purpose of American education is to create soldiers and employees, people who just do as they're told, but know nothing about money.
Rule number 4, take risks.
Millennials are the most highly educated generation in history. They have the cell phone. They didn't get educated in school. They got educated on social media, on the cell phones. They know all the answers, but they're afraid of doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest complaint about my generation is millennials know all the answers, but they can't do anything. And the reason they can't do anything is because you might hurt somebody's feelings, you might make a mistake, and that just keeps you guys just trapped in this little box here.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I think millennial money is such an important point here, because if you're going to come into my world, old guy's world, or the information age, you've really got to understand what is risky and what is not risky. And in my world, if you play it safe, that makes you stupid. Because if you don't take risks, you don't get smarter.
Yeah.
So you may know the answer, but you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And one of the best things I had is I went to military school, then I went to flight school. I had such great teachers, All of them could fly. So my flight instructor could fly. What a novel idea. A flight instructor can fly. But when I was in high school, most of my teachers were terrified. They're all cowards, job security. Don't make mistakes. Just memorize the right answer and you'll be safe. And that's why most school teachers aren't rich.
Yeah.
And they teach that to your generation
Yeah.
today.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, don't work for money.
The irony of it, when I left school in the 60s, there was plenty of jobs, but the world has changed,
Yeah.
and our schools haven't. And so they're still making this innate promise of get a job. And I was very fortunate when I graduated in '69. We're the highest paid graduates in the world. My classmates were making about $120,000 to $150,000 a year. There's not much money today, but 1969, that was a lot of money. But naturally, as young guys do, we spent every penny of it.
Yeah.
So I had my rich dad's lesson, the rich don't work for money, in my head. I said, okay, I'm making all this money. I have a secure job, but what's beyond that? And that's where education comes in. So if I could explain this to you for the rest of the millennial lessons, it's really going to be on this theme here. Because financial education is about not working for money. Like one of the first questions, when I finally realized what my rich dad was saying, I said, well, when do I never need a paycheck again? See, my goal wasn't, go to the moon or, cure cancer. My job was, when would I never need a paycheck again? Because as long as you need a paycheck, be it from an employer or like my poor dad, he was so afraid of losing his government pension.
Yeah.
And I'm going, Jesus, what a way to run your life. Your pension? So my old man kind of got fired. He lost his pension. It was the most frightening thing in the world to him. He had no pension. Then it was Social Security, which is even worse.
Yeah.
So that's why my goal when I was about your age, a little older, around 25, I said, my goal is to never need a paycheck again from anybody, even the government. I don't want any Medicare, Social Security, or whatever. While I was a military pilot, I said, oh, you got to get the military pilot pension. I said, you do, but I'm not going to. And just because of this here, that was the difference. Because I never wanted to work for money to need a paycheck. So the next few lessons in Millennial Money, you'll find out what I do work for. So for right now, just let me go to the lesson here. So this comes from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and these are some of the distinctions. It was the advantage I had at age 9, because I knew what I wanted to work for. And this here, in simple terms, is called a financial statement. In school, they teach you to get a FICO score. FICO is BS. All that means, how good are you paying your bills? That's all FICO means, okay? Should be the FIDO score. Good dog. So this is what your banker wants to see. So when I was 9 years old, playing Monopoly with my rich dad, this is the lesson that's not included in Monopoly, but rich dad taught me. And fundamentally, the problem that most people make, they go to school to get a job, and they work here. So this is the poor, middle class, and these guys. And we're going to talk about later, your first line item expense is taxes. Just recently, President Trump said he had a tax cut. He didn't have a tax cut for these guys. As you know, the rules are always written for the rich, okay? I didn't make the rules. You can get angry at me, but these are the rules. The rich make the rules, the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules.
Yeah.
So the tax cut went to people here. That's where it goes to. You'll learn more about this later on. But this is what I work for. So what I work for, number one, is I'm an entrepreneur. I want businesses. I have multiple businesses. And I don't work in them, as you know, because you work here. You never see me, do you?
No.
Because I don't work for a paycheck.
Exactly.
Next is real estate. And real estate is good for many things which we'll go into, but number one is debt. I use a lot of debt to buy real estate, and I pay no taxes. That's the relationship there. The next is paper. And that's savings, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and that stuff. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't save money. I don't have any of that. But this is what most people have: go to school, get a job, get a 401k, and save money. Loser. Okay? I'm doing that just to upset you guys, because maybe you'll start to think. Because I didn't make the rules. I'm just telling you these are the rules. These people pay the highest taxes, and they work the hardest. And the last are commodities. 4 different asset classes. So commodities are, number one is gold, silver, oil, land, water, food. So this is what I work for. When I left school, rather than working for a paycheck and working for money, my education had to go beyond getting a job, which I had a good job. But I now had to start, when I left school, about your age, the thing I focused on first actually was commodities. So back in 1972, I started buying gold. And it was illegal for Americans to own gold. Can you imagine that? Wow. Back in 72. Today you have Bitcoin. It's different, okay? Everything is changing so rapidly today. So I started with gold, but actually the next thing was actually oil, because I went to school to be a tanker officer driving ships for Standard Oil. So I understand oil. So my wife and I don't own Standard Oil or Chevron or Exxon. We own oil wells. Again, taxes. You get no tax breaks for owning paper oil, huge tax breaks for owning real oil. Yeah. And then I went into real estate. Why? Because I can use debt to buy real estate. And because I use debt, I pay no taxes. Mm-hmm. And then third, I started my business, my first real business. I had many businesses as a kid, but my first real business was a nylon and Velcro surfer wallet business. And I went worldwide right away. The trouble is I was an idiot, and the business went up, and the business came down. What kept me alive was this and this. Okay. So you may say, well, aren't you working for money? But we'll go into that next. I don't want what's called a paycheck. Mm-hmm. I want cash flow. From here. So that's what I mean by the rich don't work for money. You want cash flow that pays very little taxes, and I can use lots of debt over here. The average person who went to school, their biggest liability they have is student loans, of course.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
I mean, it's horrible what they do to you guys today. You have student loan, which is the worst type of debt of all because you cannot declare bankruptcy on it. No. And then you get out and you try and buy a house, and you call it an asset when it's really a liability. Why? Because the cash is flowing that way. Your house costs you money you rent a house, still costs you money. Okay? Then you have to have a nice car. I had one of those. This. So the problem with most young people is they go to school to get that job, then a lot of them have student loan debt, then they try and get married and buy a house, have a car, and then they have credit card debt, but they never have the chance to come over here. If they do any investing in America, it's a 401k, which I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Now, you should, but I don't, because I don't have to. Because I went to school for here, and people who don't go to school should be here. This is a 401k, IRA, ETFs, and that stuff, paper, savings. I don't touch that stuff, and we'll go into that later on. Yeah. Okay. So when I say rich don't work for money, I never wanted to be dependent on a paycheck, either from an employer or the government. I wanted to be a free human being.
Rule number 6, get tax-free income.
Did you ever wonder how the rich don't pay taxes?
Of course. I mean, it went viral when Trump said he's paid 0 in taxes. And so it got me wondering too. It's like, well, one, how can I do that?
Right.
Because I need that. I mean, it would be great if I could pay 0 in taxes. And two, how exactly can they structure it to get 0 in taxes?
It goes over here to fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. It's all the same. And all of these guys who are screaming for the rich not to pay taxes, I cover it in fake. I actually have an article from the New York Times where they interviewed Jared Kushner, who is Trump's son-in-law, was Ivanka's husband.
Yeah.
They're richer than the Trumps. Jared Kushner's family is richer than the Trumps. But the reason Jared explains it, why these guys pay no tax, is because they're in real estate. Mm-hmm. They're not in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. And so he explains it. So the reason the rich don't pay taxes is because there's 3 types of income. They'll never teach you this in school. The fake teachers will never. There's 3 types of income. Okay, number 1 type of income is earned income. That's earned income. It's when you work for money, it's earned. So that earned income shows up here. So these are the guys that pay tax. So when all the guys are screaming tax the rich, well, you can't tax them because they don't have jobs.
That's absolutely
It's kind of
right.
funny, isn't it? We're going to tax the rich. Oh, yeah, good
How?
luck, you know. And then the second type of income is portfolio income. And portfolio income is from flipping houses, or you buy a stock for like $10, you sell it for $20. That's portfolio income. Okay? I don't do that. Trump doesn't do that. So most guys who are flipping houses and all that, buying stocks and flipping to you're getting this type of income. So this income is about 20% today. Some of that here. But the income that the rich work for is called passive income. Passive income is also known as cash flow. That's the name of our game, cash flow. And that income is income that's flowing from here to here. It bypasses taxes. So I know it doesn't sound fair, and it isn't fair. I don't disagree with you. But what's not fair is our schools, which are part of the problem, will never explain that.
And so because it's passive income, is it not taxed because I guess you guys are creating jobs and owning and providing houses?
You're getting smarter there. It's not illegal because the tax laws are incentives to do what the government wants done. So the reason the Trumps, Kiyosaki's, and Kushners pay no taxes is we provide housing. Number 2, in the B column, we provide jobs, so we pay no taxes. And 3, it's a bad word, it's oil. When you drill for oil, you pay no taxes. But if you buy Chevron, you pay taxes, stocks. If you provide food, you pay no taxes. So if real financial education, which will never be taught in school because they're fake teachers.
Rule number 7, play games.
When I was 9 years old, my rich dad taught me how to become rich by playing the game of Monopoly. And I didn't understand why I was playing this game of Monopoly. And one day, Rich Dad said to me, he says, there's many ways you can become rich. One of the best ones are found in this game, Monopoly, because games are some of the best teachers in the world, because all games engage 4 intelligences. Number 1 is your mind. Number 2 are your emotions, fear and anger and sadness. Number 3 is physical. I mean, how can you learn to walk if you don't fall down? And number 4 is spiritual intelligence. As Maria Montessori said, what the hand does, the mind remembers.
Rule number 8, have a spiritual why.
My teacher was Dr. R. Buckminster Fuller. And he says, I don't work for me, I work for everyone. And that was one of the biggest lessons I got from the military. From the military was very high spiritual intelligence. That's why your dad and I get along so well. Because when we went into combat, which is a horrible experience of good and bad people, enemy and friends, but when we climbed into our aircraft, there was a crew of 5. We became one. It is the best feeling, as horrible as it is, flying into combat, because we might not come back. But it was the highest feeling of all. It was spiritual. And I'm afraid it's not just millennials, it's human beings, Well, is this good? Is this bad? Is this the best Vuitton shirt? Can I get it at a better price? Or he's cute, or she's cute, but is there somebody better, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
So you guys are stuck in your head, and I think you should get more into your spirit, saying, what can I do for my fellow human being?
Yeah.
What can I do for the environment? And I think the biggest secret of my success is I have all, we all have these. We all have some degree of physical things we do. Yeah. Emotionally, I'm a basket case a lot of the time, I get upset, I get angry, I get sad, I get my feelings hurt. And I'm always, this is good, this is bad, this is, you watch politics, it's all good and bad, it's a bunch of BS. But what keeps me going is this. and it's spiritual.
Yeah.
It's how can I serve others? How can I serve the planet?
Rule number 9, always be a student.
In my world, like I said, I see people, they chase shiny objects. And what a shiny object means is, when you're fishing, you throw a lure out, and this little shiny object goes, and the fish comes and they jump in. That's what most people do. Bitcoin today is a shiny object. I'm not saying you can't make a lot of money in it, but most people are chasing shiny objects. They want to make money. They're not building an asset here. The reason they don't do it here, this is the highest risk. Now, this is what I know. The higher the risk, the more education it takes. For example, if I wanted to learn, and I flew, if I wanted to just fly my little Cessna 172 around the place, not much risk in that. But when I had to go to Vietnam to fly, the risk went up. I had to study harder, become better, work harder at it. The reason most people stay in paper, 401ks, IRAs, and chasing shiny objects like Bitcoin is because they don't want to take the risk here. They're huge. You've got to study. That's why we have Rich Dad's Education, Rich Dad's Coaching. All of you guys are allowed to take courses and all this. If you come here, it takes no intelligence to be here. It takes no intelligence to buy Bitcoin. I mean, I have 5 Bitcoin. It didn't take, I don't have to do anything. Over here, I have to know a lot. Over here, I have to know a lot. I have to study. So if you want to chase shiny objects like the stock market and all that, you can get rich there. It's really easy to get in here. It's really hard here. Any comments, any questions? Does it make sense? They're chasing shiny objects.
So I do agree with you when you talk about Bitcoin being a shiny object that everybody's chasing, right? And one of my favorite stories that you've told is about your mentor, Frank, when he sent you to Peru so you could learn a valuable lesson about maybe something that wasn't such a shiny object and turned into be, because shiny objects change every day.
So I wanted to learn about, they have ICOs, initial coin offerings. I wanted to learn about IPOs, initial public offering. And it's how you take a business and turn it into paper. You turn it into stock. So I went to see my friend Frank, who was hardcore here. I don't know how many companies he started and taken public. And I said, Frank, and he didn't know me from Adam. I said, I want to learn to do an IPO. And he goes, yeah, you and everybody else. He says, most guys don't have it. They don't have the guts. They don't have the determination. And they're wimps. I said, I want to learn. He says, how bad? This is up here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I said, badly. He says, okay, this is Wednesday. Be in Lima, Peru on Saturday. I went, on Saturday? And we were shooting our video for the cash flow game, He says, how bad do you want it? I said, badly. He says, you meet my president in Lima. Frank never traveled. You meet my president in Lima, and I'll find out how bad you want it. So that was Wednesday. Wednesday night, I was on a plane to Lima, Peru. I had to pay full boat. I paid my own way. Most employees can't stand that because they don't have any money. I flew into Lima, Peru. I went to look at 3 gold mines, and with Frank's president. It was an experience and an education I would never have if I didn't show up. It cost me probably $15,000 to $20,000 just for airfare on that thing. I get back on Tuesday to talk to Frank, and I said, Frank, there's nothing there. He says, I could have told you that. So why'd you send me? I want to find how badly you want to learn. Just most people don't have it. They want a job, they want job security, they want a paycheck, they want a 401k. And that's why they don't get to come here. That's why they don't get to come over here. Nothing right or wrong, I don't ever want to be here. I knew when I was your age I wanted to come here, but the higher the risk, the higher the returns, but also the higher dedication, education, and study you have to go through. So today, and I'm making millions and millions, I make more in a day than many people make in a lifetime. But it was worth it. Did I lose? Sometimes, yes, but it was worth it. You go to school here, you take no risk. That's why my poor dad was poor. He didn't like to make mistakes.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is learn beyond the classroom.
The differences between what they're teaching in school and what we at Rich Dad teach. So this is the very big difference. Like I said, most school teachers are like my poor dad, and this was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What you're seeing here is a financial statement. You know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a book on accounting, the most boring subject on planet Earth. But book number 2 of Rich Dad was this one here. And this was called the cash flow quadrant, right? You have E, S, B, and I. So, test for you. What does E stand for?
Employee.
Good. And what do employees always say?
That they work for money.
But they want job security,
Exactly.
paycheck, and pension.
Yes.
Okay. What does S stand for?
Self-employed.
They're small business owners,
Yes.
doctors, lawyers.
They work for tips.
They work for tips now. So they're self-employed. And B stands for what?
Big business owners.
So 500 employees or more.
Yeah.
And I stands for what?
The investor.
Investor. It's more than just investor, it's insider. You see, this is like Shark Tank on the TV shows. These guys here have done this and they've done this. So this was my poor dad, this side. This was Rich Dad here. So the difference, that's what schools are not teaching you, is what's the difference between these people and these people. That's the big difference. And that shows up, so when I was about your age, I had to make a decision. I was a pilot. You know, most of my friends went to fly for the airlines, but I'd be here. Or I could be, I could be an Alaska flying fisherman around the place, a pilot with a small plane and, flying around the place. Or I could own an airlines, or I could invest in airlines. And that's the difference in the mindsets and skill sets. You don't just make crossings. The education is extremely different on this side than on this side here. What I found out, the accountants and attorneys who went to the biggest schools are not the best. I have found what I'm looking for is somebody who may be a private guy who is passionate about entrepreneurship. So they're a great attorney for entrepreneurs. They're not, most attorneys are looking for the big client, like I want to work for, General Electric. What I want is the attorney and the accountant who are passionate about it being entrepreneurs. So my guys right here in Phoenix are entrepreneurs, and my accountants are entrepreneurs. Every time I hired the big name corporate and law accounting firms, I have been grossly overpaid and underserved because they're so used to doing bigger things, they don't have time for a little guy like me. It's the same with bankers. I'm looking for a banker who loves being an entrepreneur. You got to have this partnership with the banker. I dump on the financial services industry a lot, and they deserve to be dumped on, but you got to have one on your team, So my banker is the love of my life, because that's where I get my money from. But the common wisdom, the old intelligence idea is to diversify, and what I believe in is something else, is increase your financial IQ, your financial intelligence, and instead focus. And what focus stands for is this. Focus is follow one course till you're successful. And so that's what I did in 1973. I signed up for my first real estate investment course. And I just did it and did it and did it. I bought this one little $18,000 place. And I did it again, and I did it again, and I did it again until the point where I understood it. And then I went into becoming an entrepreneur. And I did it, and I did it, and did it, and I'm still learning. And I'm still learning about real estate. And the reason, in 1966, I got into oil when I went to work for the Standard Oil Company. So today, I'm still focusing. I invest in oil and oil and oil. And I don't diversify. It doesn't mean I don't lose. Sometimes I lose, sometimes I make mistakes and all this. But I just don't buy good as with all the bad. If you're going to be successful as an investor, diversification is good for the average investor. If that's what you want to be, have a good life. But what I'd rather do is be able to know the good ones from the bad ones, the good investments from the bad investments, the good advisors from the bad advisors, and what's good for me and what's not good for you. Because what I do is not necessarily what's going to work for you, and vice versa here. So that's why I really think instead of diversification or diversifying, the new rules of money say follow one course until you're successful, and then keep doing it. Because once you find that way of being successful, you can do it again and again and again. One of the things I stress here at Rich Dad, which I didn't do for much of the time, was because once Kim and I had enough money, the question is, what do you do next? And if Kim and I had continued to work for money, I think I would have died. So when Kim retired, she was 37 and I was 47. But just as we said on this with Vontae, it's one of your primary objectives, especially today, is when do you plan to retire? Because, you know, the idea of having a job and waiting for your 401k or your stock market to save you, I think you're going to be sadly disappointed, because what I'm foreseeing is a massive crash coming. It's going to wipe out a lot of people. And I'm coming out with a new book called Who Stole My Pension? And all these guys who think their pension is safe, I think Wall Street has other ideas on their pension here. So when I say to young people like you guys, I said, you know, plan your retirement the day you start working. You know, when do you escape from the rat race? That's the cash flow game there.
Discipline I had to get into was I always pay myself first, even when I had no money. And when I have all these bill collectors calling me, I use them as inspiration. You know what I mean? Really? Oh, when they're hounding, the government's hounding you, bill collectors calling, because I've been broke, so I can understand what it feels like to be broke. When those guys are calling you, instead of, you know, shrinking and going into the shell and eating my pizza, I use it as motivation to go out and make more money. So I use my bill collectors as motivation, and that's why I paid myself first, even though sometimes I wasn't paying.
What would you pay yourself?
I always bought assets. I'd buy a house, or I'd put money in the bank and things like this. But it was just a habit. Exactly what you're talking about. It's up here.
It's about changing the way you think. That's what the whole book is about.
That's it. Because we're our biggest asset, we're also our biggest liability.
A big part of what makes a company successful is whether or not they have a brand, B-R-A-N-D, almost misspelled it. Okay? And brand, people think, well, it's the communication, you know? But a brand is more than that. The reason Rich Dad is so valuable right now is because it is an internationally known brand, the same way as Trump is known as a brand. And the real question on a brand is not just communication. See, a brand makes it easier to sell. When somebody says Rich Dad, they go, oh, I think I heard of that, or I know what the guy stands for and all this. So what a brand really is the entire BI triangle. If you're going to create a brand, especially in a world that's overcrowded with advertising, communication, the webs, iPods, print, blogs, I mean, there's so much competition now for a person's time. It really is more important that you become a brand. So there's a shortcut communication. Like if I say the word Ferrari, you know, you get a picture of something in your mind. It's a whole body effect. But if I said Hyundai or Kia, you know, car, they're probably just as good a car, but you get a whole different emotional effect just by the brand name. So I'm not saying Hyundais are better or worse than a Ferrari, but I'll pay more for a Ferrari than I will for a Hyundai. I don't own a Hyundai, by the way. I own a Ferrari. What does it mean? It's a shortcut communication. Like if I say the word Apple, you know, some people think of computers and some people think of red apple. But for the guys like me I'm an Apple fanatic, you know, the brand means a lot to me. I love Steve Jobs. He's one of the best entrepreneurs in the world right now. And if I say the word Marine Corps is a brand. It communicates everything, the mission, the team, the leadership, the style, the message. You know, the Marines have a saying, we're only looking for a few good men and women. That means we just don't want to be like the Army. We have to position ourselves away from the Army, the Air Force, and the Coast Guard, and the Navy. So brands are so vitally important as a communication tool, especially in today's over-communicated to world. There are more people competing for your customer's mind, their time. You know, how many blogs can you read? How many magazines can you read? How many television sets can you read? How many games can you play and all this? So today, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it becomes more and more important that you become a brand.
Another part of your financial IQ is to know there's 3 types of income. So if you're going to say work hard, most people are working hard for earned income, and that's what these guys are working for. The trouble with earned income in America, your tax rate's approximately 50%. Whereas Warren Buffett says it's a shame that his secretary pays a higher percentage in taxes than he did, although he makes billions of dollars. So when you say to a child, go to school and get a safe, secure job, you tell them to work for earned income, the worst type of income. The second type of income is portfolio income. And today, as I speak, and they're trying to change this, it's about 20%. And portfolio income is generally known as capital gains. So if I buy a stock for $10 and I sell it for $50, the $40 gain is taxed at 20%. Or if I buy a house for $100,000 and I sell it for $200,000, that's a capital gains type event. So you pay a lot of tax for that. And the third type of income, which is the best type of income, excuse me, I can't spell again, is passive income. And this is income that just comes in on a regular basis. One of the reasons I am wealthy and is able to retire at a young age is because I worked hard for passive income, not earned income. I don't flip real estate generally, not portfolio income. I don't flip stocks. I want passive income. So today, the new rules of money, it's important to understand what are you going to school to become, ES, entrepreneur or investor, and what kind of income you're working hard for, earned, portfolio, or passive. And if you know what you're doing, you can pay 0% taxes legally. And this can be done all over the world. People say, we can't do it in my country. Well, these people can't do it in any country, but in most parts of the world, governments need these people. So they're always giving tax incentives for investors and business owners who work for passive income. So those are some of the new rules of money. You've really got to know what you're working hard at and what kind of work are you performing, what kind of income are you working hard for.
As we know, there's fewer and fewer jobs. American corporations say they're hiring, but they're not hiring in America, they're hiring overseas. But more than that is that the reason I endorse network marketing is most people are addicted to the paycheck. And the paycheck is one of the most sinister plots ever pulled upon a human being. If you need a paycheck, you've sold your soul. You sold your body, your mind, your spirit, and your emotions. You sit there in fear of losing your job, or can I get a raise, or will I get promoted? I mean, and then why would you do that? Another thing about the reason we endorse network marketing, we don't think of it as a network marketing. We think of it as entrepreneur development. Because if you need a paycheck, this is not your business. We build businesses. So sometimes when Kim and I do a deal, we may not receive a paycheck for 5-6 years. And so these guys come, oh, am I going to get rich quick? And some people do. I don't know if you do or not. But that is an employee, get rich, loser mindset. And so the thing that network marketing does is really kind of cure you of that loser paycheck, get rich quick mentality and actually build a business. We build businesses, and that's how we're rich, but we didn't get rich quick, and I don't need a paycheck, and I never want a paycheck. So that's kind of a revolutionary thought to most people up there who went to school to get good grades and get a job, and then you get a high-paying job, and then the higher-paying job, you pay higher taxes, and you wonder why you never get ahead. That's because you went to school to get a job and a paycheck. You've got to get away from the paycheck, and sometimes it might take 2-3 years to get away from that. And that's what network marketing teaches people. It's an entrepreneur's mindset. It's an entrepreneur's spirit, not a loser employee, I need a paycheck mentality.
The thing is, you see, when people, economies go up, economies go down, we might go into a depression worldwide. Like I said, France is in very big trouble. Germany's okay. England's in big trouble. China's in trouble. So if we go that, we go to a worldwide depression, and it might take 10 years, to come out of it. But during these times, this is the best time. I have made more money in the last 3 years than ever before in my life. I bought five golf courses last year out of bankruptcy.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, the bank.
Courses.
Yeah, Donald bought 10. They're giving them away.
No one told me.
Yeah, but you have to know how to operate them, You have to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So the banks just call you up and they say that there was 5 golf courses in one hotel.
In the States?
In Arizona, yeah, golf mecca,
Arizona.
And this Japanese company had it, and they asked me if I wanted to buy it about 5 years ago for $260 million. And I said, does it make sense? It doesn't make sense at $260 million. So they told me I didn't know what I was doing. They said, okay, buy. And then this 1 year ago, this summer, the Citibank called up and says, you want those golf courses? And they gave me the money to buy them. The biggest thing for most young people is that our schools teach us to be ICs, independent contractors.
Okay.
Or self-employed, or even if you're an employee, you're still an independent contractor who has a job. And you do it by yourself. I think much of the young world is in the selfie world. Look at me, look at me,
Yeah.
look at me. Whereas in my world, it's a team sport. I'm a rugby player. I go on the field with a team, toughest, meanest guys I know. And so you could be the A student from Princeton, but I go on this field with 15 tough men, kick your ass. And so the average guy is coming out there, like, oh, I got an A, I went to Princeton, I went to Harvard, and the corporate America comes out and they go, boom. So that's why when I talk to young people, I say, look, it's a team sport. So the first person I have is a bookkeeper. Bookkeeper is the lowest paid person on my team, but the most important.
Right.
The bookkeeper then keeps the accurate records that my accountant can use, and my attorney can use, and my banker can use. That's the combination there. And my banker, my attorney, and my accountant must work together as a team. Most people, their bankers, accountants, and attorneys don't work together as teams, because in school we're taught to take our tests on our own. If you ask for help, you're cheating. In my world, it's called cooperation. And what I found with most smart people, they don't know how to cooperate. They don't know how to ask for help, because in their brains, that's cheating. It means you're stupid. It means you're weak. It means you're stupid. Well, most successful entrepreneurs have gone bust. Right? Yeah. Henry Ford, an old-time entrepreneur, he went bust 5 times. Okay, look at Steve Jobs.
Yep.
His own board fired him.
Yep.
Bill Gates was taken before the Supreme Court for monopolistic practices.
Right.
Even my friend Donald Trump went down $1 billion.
Yeah.
I only went down $1 million. So the average person is so afraid of those losses, they never get ahead. Because at school they teach you if you make a mistake or if you fail, you're a failure. But that's not real life. A baby learns to walk by standing up and falling down, standing up and falling down. And our school system punishes you for making mistakes. That's why my poor dad, an academic, was so unsuccessful. He was terrified of making mistakes. And just to reiterate, was in approximately 1975, I came out with this product, and we were extremely successful. But we kept running out of money. The more successful we got, the more we ran out of money. So that's when I went to my rich dad and I tried to borrow $100,000, and he chewed me out. He says, why would I invest in a dumb product when you have a bad business? And so that's when he began teaching me the next level of my entrepreneurial education. It's not about the product, it's about how to design a business that doesn't need me to keep raising the capital. In other words, how do you design a business that keeps raising money automatically? And today the Rich Dad Company is cash rich. Cash keeps pouring in because the ability to raise money constantly was designed into the business. And once again, this is the diagram. This is the BI triangle. These are the 8 pieces that make up a business. When a business is hurting, oftentimes it's because one of these 8 pieces is missing. For example, many times people have a great product, but their legal is really bad, or their communication systems are bad, or their audit, their internal order processing is bad, or the manufacturing is bad, or the marketing is bad, or they have bad cash flow management. Oh, I always say quit your job, but that's not, I don't have a job. I've only had one job.
And I never wanted a job after that because I had to be hungry. Not to say, but we're all different. We're humans. We're different beings. If I show you this diagram here, it's why I created my cash flow board game. Because we have 4 different intelligences. We have mental intelligence. We have, I don't know what that one is, physical intelligence. You probably have very good physical to make, football and all that.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence, but spiritual intelligence. So I went to military school in New York. The first thing is spiritual. I become a Marine. It's spiritual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're putting your life on the frickin' line.
Yeah.
So Nassim Taleb, wrote the book, The Black Swan. He also wrote Anti-Fragile. He says there's 3 kinds of people in the world. There's fragile, and that's what our school systems are putting out. Fragile, wimpy, snowflakes. And that's your choice. You want to be that way? Have a good life. The second type is that, so a fragile is like a champagne flute.
Yep.
You hit it, it shatters. Then the second one is called robust. And a robust person is like the rock. You can pound on them, dump on them.
Yeah.
They take it. But that's all they do. They take it. And then anti-fragile is somebody like you, where they pound the crap out of you, and you get smarter and better because of it. So I love Nassim Taleb. A lot of people call him Dr. Doom. But the way I look at this whole thing, this economy is, we're probably going into a depression. We're not going to get out of this one.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And so the thing is this good for you or bad for you? I'm looking forward to it. The last crash was 2008. And I made more money in 2008 than in my whole life. So this one here, 2000, what is it, 2020? I'm going to get even richer. But other people are going to get poor. And if they're baby boomers, they're going to blame it on this coronavirus. Oh, my health, hey, hit the road, put on some running shoes, change your diet, get some sunlight, get healthy. Don't be a wimp. But, oh, no, I'm so afraid of dying. I'm going, you're already dead. You don't even know it yet. In the Marine Corps, we used to call them corpse people.
Right. Corpse, not core. Yeah.
A corpseman. No, a corpseman. A corpseman is a person who's dead but doesn't know it.
Wow.
They're so afraid of dying. They're already dead.
Yeah. It's about taking action, taking control of your life, taking control of your health, your finances, everything.
This is the best time to be alive right now.
It is insane. The several things that I find, one more time, second book, Cash Flow Quadrant, ES, on the right side is BNI. And that's where guys like Mark Cuban and Damon Johns come from. They're professional investors. They acquire companies, they finance companies. They have what's called family offices, not home businesses or home offices. They're family offices. So I have a family office. So when I was a young man, my rich dad said to me, someday you want a family office. I said, what does that mean? I got an office. He goes, no. It's where you have a whole team of people moving your money for you because you got so much money coming in. Say too much money is a problem also because you got to keep moving it. So I have a family office, and that was part of the whole process of becoming rich was so I could learn to have a family office. And the average guy has a 401k. Why am I kicking his butt? I don't care if he went to Harvard. I'll kick his butt up one side and down the other, making millions, not paying taxes, but keep moving my money.
What should the people understand about this way of living? Because we cannot all be entrepreneurs. Some people need to get some jobs. Or should we all try and look at how we can change our lives in the way you show it in your books and your keynotes?
It's up to the person. It's up to the person. It's a free choice. You want to be an employee, you choose to be an employee. You want to be an entrepreneur, you choose to be an entrepreneur, but you've got to study. They're two different people. What you have to study is different. Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, they're different people. An entrepreneur is extremely different than an employee. But it's a different study. The trouble is our school system trains us to be employees. Go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, pay your taxes, get out of debt, and invest in the stock market. That makes you poor.
I think there's people trying to do good by educating outside of the traditional school system where I think they're more limited.
Correct. And that's why I created the cash flow board game, is because I learned about money. I learned about money playing Monopoly.
Yeah.
I learned more about life playing Monopoly than I did in 4 years of college.
Yeah.
I went to a really good school, the best schools in the world, U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. I came out a rich man, but it didn't teach me much about money. I was only a high-paid employee.
I just think about the economy, business, world affairs. My job is to make complex financial systems simple enough so the average person can understand it. That is extremely difficult because most people are brainwashed when it comes to money. Go to school, get a job, work hard, pay your taxes, save money, get out of debt, buy a house, and invest in the stock market. Everybody who follows that program has been brainwashed. I don't even care about money. I make a lot of money because I understand the system. I would never go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, buy a house, and invest in the stock market. I do everything exactly opposite.
You go to school, get a job, you become an employee, but you learn nothing about taxes. Then you become a little entrepreneur. You start your little falafel shop business or whatever you start, right? So that self-employed, small business. And then you have big business, 500 employees or more, or I for investor. So Tom, how much tax do employees pay?
Well, typically if they're making a good salary, and this is, by the way, the same rates around the world, typically it's going to be about 40%. 40%.
And after the Trump tax cut, did that change much?
Not much. It didn't.
So if you're I'm going to start my own little business, I'm going to, start my little pizza shop or my coffee shop, how much do these guys pay?
Well, now it goes up because you're paying both your share of the taxes plus the employer's share of the taxes because you've got both sides. So now it goes up as high as 60%.
So when you hear a young person, an old guy like me saying, I'm going to start my own business, they don't know anything about taxes, do they?
No, and in fact, this is the place where people get in trouble because over here, the money's being taken out of your paycheck. But here, you're responsible for your taxes. And so what happens is that you go, let's say you're successful with your pizza shop, right? All of a sudden, tax time comes around, oh no, I've spent all my money and I don't have money to pay the taxes. And people go out of business real fast here.
Well, it is surprising because a lot of the millennials do want to start up their own small little business, right? And what they're not aware of is that they're going to be in the 60% tax bracket.
Because taxes are your single largest expense. So if you're going to start your own business, you got to be aware of taxes here. Now, big business has 500 employees or more. How much do they pay?
Typically around the world, about 20%.
Now, why is it that big business people pay less than small business?
Well, basically, the government wants us to do certain things, and they'll give us incentives if we do them. And what they want out of a big business is they want employment. So they want to create employment because that creates stability in the country.
Jobs,
right? And so the more jobs you create, actually, the more tax benefit you get.
Well, look at Amazon right now. They're looking at moving their company. How many tax benefits are they getting?
Oh my heavens, they pay very, very little tax. Amazon does, and they pay, you talk about all those different kinds of taxes. Not only do they pay very little income tax, but they're also paying very little sales tax and employment taxes and all those others because they're getting benefits from multiple types of government, the federal government, the state government, the city government.
Is that how Elon Musk started his battery factory in Nevada?
Well, yeah, I mean, Elon Musk, he gets huge research and development tax benefits, which, by the way, that's a tax benefit that is available in most countries more than the U.S.
Right. So if you're going to stay small, I mean, it's a good place to start, but you're going to really want to come over here eventually. And then the professional investors. See, these guys are passive. These guys invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds. They save money. They're passive guys. They pay the highest taxes. But how much does a professional investor, like Shark Tank, how much do these guys pay?
So they can pay as little as 0%.
Right.
They can actually completely eliminate their tax.
In 1989, when the World Wide Web came up and the Berlin Wall came down simultaneously, I thought that was interesting. So it's another transformation. It's no different than when, let's say I'm a king in Portugal or something.
and I got all my archers and my swords guys and my spear guys, and some entrepreneur drives up there with his cannon, and he just loads that cannon and blows the guy's walls down, Well, that's kind of what's happening today. All the old guys standing in their castle walls, and some entrepreneurs sitting there pounding the crap out of them. So exactly when I was with Steve Burke of NBC Universal, he was saying the guys, what we're doing, the guys on social media are kicking their butts right now. They don't know what to do. They can't stop us. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. The problem is the average person, because they went to school looking for a job, they can't see what's going on. They're blind. So, and I think it was on your program, you hold up a cell phone, you got more power in that cell phone than when I first went to the Academy in New York in '65. They had full, rooms blown, Sperry computers and all that. You got more power in that cell phone than that Sperry computer at my school in New York. And if you can't make money with that cell phone, hang up the jockstrap, man.
Rule number one in Rich Dad Poor Dad is the rich don't work for money. Most people miss that one. But that goes back to 1971 when Nixon took us off the gold standard.
Yeah.
And money became fake money.
Yeah.
So anyway, my Rich Dad was preparing me to think about how can I make money without money. And the way I do it, I create an asset, like a book. I'm not saying write books because that's tough industry. But I write a book today. I sell 50 licenses to 50 different languages. And I collect royalties for years, the long tail.
Yeah.
So my money just keeps coming in. With that, I borrow. So let's say I make $10 in a book. I'll borrow $50 to invest in real estate. I step up my basis for depreciation, amortization, and appreciation.
Gotcha.
That's financial education.
Yeah.
Not that garbage they teach you about invest for the long term of the stock market. Why would I do that when I can make up my own assets?
Yeah.
That's what entrepreneurs do. Every entrepreneur should be making up their own assets and staying out of the stock market. That's my point of view. But can everybody do it? No, of course not.
Sure.
But I've screwed up enough times to prove I can do it. And my accountant will back me up. Yeah, the guy is an idiot, but he does create assets.
First word I had to learn at the Academy, mission. Mission is spiritual. What's your mission? And my mission has always been to serve people. Most people, all they give a is making money and screwing people. That's called the Federal Reserve Bank, Wall Street, and all that. I want nothing to do with them. So I just don't play their game. But you have to get smarter not to play their game.
Understand something. I don't have stocks, bonds, mutual funds. You know why?
Why?
I can make up my own assets. I wrote this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, 31 million copies. I make $5 a book. You do the math on that one. I create my cash flow game. I think I make $6 or $7 a game in 50 languages. I know how to sell.
I made a fortune in 2008. 2020, I'm making more money and paying less taxes. It doesn't mean I don't have problems, but I'm prepared for this. My biggest problem right now is because everybody's taking a vacation, I can't get enough product. I'm selling out. My cash flow game is sold out. It's selling out constantly all over the world. All over the world, I get royalties from my book sales. My book sales are going through the roof right now. So I'm making more money.
Information, yeah.
There's two kinds of discipline. There's internal or self-discipline, and then there's external discipline. So right now, if the world's kicking your butt, that's external discipline. And if you're self-disciplined, the world's kissing your butt right now. It's up to you.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag Believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. For 10 more amazing rules from Ken Honda, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
It's because of a money trauma. I call it money wounds that we've had since our childhood. We used to have some unless your parents are perfect. And unfortunately,